Hello, how are you?
Hey, Claire, I'm good. Good. How are you?
Very good, very good. I have got,
Nice.
I just had a little moment there when I wasn't sure we'd done this before, but we haven't. And so the word, well, it's a little pair of words, is self-judgment.
Hmm. Yeah, that thing, that stuff. Yeah. Wasn't it funny how we do that? Hey, don't even know we're doing it. Happens all the time. So innocently. Yeah. Yeah, I really see self-judgment as I actually see that it at times it can be helpful when it's kind, when it's noticing that maybe you're learning something and it's just like, oh, yeah, not bad. How can I do that differently? What could I do? What would work better instead? In that way, it's, you're sort of judging your work or judging what you're doing, but it's for a helpful purpose. It's kind. It's kind to the system. It's not like, well, look at that mess. What did I create? Which has a very different feeling. And isn't that it? It always comes back to the feeling, doesn't it? I think a lot of the words that we use, it's like, how are we using them? And how we use it, really, the feeling of what it is having us feel tells us, is this for the greater good of me? Is this helpful? Self-judgment. Yeah, we can use it in ways of, I mean, I know in the way that we might be talking about it here is that it's not good for you. But it's just noticing how that there's, we live in this material, physical plane where there's hot and cold and, tall and short, and there's all these polarities. That's how we orient ourselves on this physical plane. And what can get in the way is, I mean, comparing to others and thinking that we should be different than we are. And oftentimes we've been told that, depending on our culture, how we were brought up, how it is in our family, the state of mind of the people who live around us, whether we should be quieter or speak up, don't be so shy, or, it doesn't matter. We can't win sometimes because someone is always, judging it that we should be different than we are. And then we do it. We just take it on. But when we popped out of that womb, I don't think we had any judgment about ourselves and about whether we should be more of something or less. Or it's like, I should have done that better. I should have tucked my arm in different, like it's exhausting, isn't it? It just felt exhausting even thinking about these things about what I should have done different, shouldn't have. It's really lovely when we can just notice how we're moving about our day. And it's like, oh, it's not interesting. If you see something that it's just like, huh, you know, did that work out for me? Maybe I was hungry and I snapped at my partner, and it's just like, I shouldn't, I can go there. But rather it's like, right, sorry about that. I'm hungry. And I already know that when I'm hungry, or what is it? Hungry, tired. What's the other? Hungry, tired, whatever. Like, just take care of it. Take care of your needs and just what you need to do. Take care of your mind. Allow yourself quiet. Yeah. You get to know yourself. It's really helpful to get to know yourself, to see how you work, and you get to know how you do best. And when you forget, it's not something to beat yourself up about, to judge, and just like, okay, could have done that better. It's a fact. Treat it as a fact, not as a self-flagellation kind of thing. It's like, okay, what can I do different next time? It feels more practical, not so emotionally exhausting. And really, how much good can we really do when we've just beaten ourselves to a pulp low down in the ground? Doesn't even make sense, does it? Yeah. Tell me about self-judgment, what you see about that today.
Yeah, like you said, it's exhausting, isn't it? And I think it was a big part of my life for a really long time. And I think for me, where it's fallen away is where I've seen to be in the present moment, really. Like you just said, if you snap at somebody, then you start beating yourself and judging yourself about that, then you're back in the past, because you're back in a scenario you can do nothing about. Whereas for me, then in front of you, there may be a partner who looks a bit sad, or a child who is crying, or that there's something real in the now, in the present moment to deal with in whatever way, which might be just to say sorry, or to comfort that person, or just admit that we're in a bit of a low mood, or whatever it is. I don't think we even need to reference the past. We can just see what's occurring right now.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, there is a person who's upset because I've been mardy and snapped at them. Then how do I put that right? Without even needing to reference the past behaviour. Because somebody shared a quote with me the other day. It's a Sydney Banks quote, although they couldn't remember where they'd heard it, but it was, when you try to do anything, you create a stress. And I think a lot of self-judgment is about us trying to be better. And understandably, because I think we've learned that, haven't we, that how to be better, whatever that heck that means. I've put that in inverted commas, if anybody, or air quotes, whatever you want to call them. That, like, yeah, trying to be better is just, it's trying. And trying doesn't, it turns out it doesn't work as well as we've been led to believe. But the trying often comes from, there has to be self-judgment first. There has to be a sense of, I'm not doing the right thing. I'm not okay in this realm of life. I don't behave well enough in this realm of life. And so therefore I've got to try and be different. I've got to try to change. I've got to work on myself. And it just makes your mind more busy. It's more thinking, because then you've got to work out, well, what's the strategy? Where do I need to habit stack to get myself to do this thing differently to how I'm doing it? Whether that's like habit stacking is often used to help people establish healthy habits. When I get up, I'll put my trainers literally as a trip hazard getting out of bed, so that I put them on and go to the gym or whatever. People do that kind of thing. And that can become just so complicated to try and make ourselves either do better behaviors, again, that's in air quotes, or to not do the things that we don't think we should be doing. And I mean, I've had a big thing fall away while I've been away in Spain, where, so for 10 years, my fiance's ex, they have a child, so she still has to be, otherwise she definitely wouldn't be still in our lives, has sent these quite rude messages to us, and her messages haven't made me feel anything, but I've definitely got into the weeds with that, and thinking I've got to help Bruce and support Ethan. I've got to be the one who articulates the replies to these messages, and that should be me, and I'm really good at that. And but then really getting stirred up about what the reply should be, all with the pretext of, well, if she can just, whatever's going to make us stop sending these horrible messages. And I don't even, and then on top of that was this extra layer of self-judgment. Oh, well, you're in this spiritual conversation, Claire, so you should know better, and you should have been able to let go of this by now. Why have you not let go? So there was like these extra layers of, you know, what could you, you know, could you just get Bruce to not tell you about the messages? Well, that's not fair on him. What if he just wants to offload to his partner? He should be able to do that. And so there was all these, I was in the mechanics of it rather than the physics, like the mechanics of how do I manipulate this? How do I manipulate myself to stop myself? And while we were away, I mean, my response to these messages has changed over time. I tend to wait till I'm calmer. I tend to respond rather than react, but still feel like I've got to be doing that. It's like a thing on the list of things to do. And while we were away, Bruce said to me one morning, he said, "Oh, I've had six WhatsApp messages from her," like one after the other, ranting. This time, because she's been given in no uncertain terms that if she carries on about our relationship or how we should be parenting Ethan or anything, that we will just be deleting them. So she stopped sending those, but this was a rant about Ethan. And Bruce said, "I've had 6 messages from her." And I just went, "Have you deleted them?" And then I said, "I don't want to read them." And he looked at me like I had 2 heads. Like he didn't recognize this person in front of him. He said, "You don't want to read them?" "No, I don't want to read them." And then like later on, we were like walking on the front and I just went, "No, I really don't want to read them. Who am I? I just didn't." It was like I'd just had a personality transplant. And I just didn't want to read them. I didn't care. Not that I don't care about the child, not that I don't care about Bruce, but I know that if I get into the weeds with that, I'll be just lost in all this horrible thinking that makes me feel awful. And I think one of the things that happened when I was away in Spain was I fell into such a nice feeling and I didn't want to mess it up. And I knew that if I went into that message reading and ranting, I would not lose my well-being, but I would cover it over again. And it was like I could suddenly see the light and I didn't want to cover up the light. I wanted to stay connected to that light. And that's huge for me because it has been like we've been at this nonsense for 10 years. Me getting caught in that, getting upset about it, ranting about it, thinking I've got to articulate these fantastic replies. Just like, and now it just makes no sense. And there didn't need, you know, there has been a falling away of the self-judgment as well, I think, and the trying to get myself to respond differently to these messages. All the changes that have happened in that relationship have come from insight, from me just seeing something differently in the moment, not from me trying to fix it, make it change or whatever. And that's just so cool to see that in actual fact, where we've probably thought for a long time self-judgment is the way to get ourselves to be better. Again, quote the word better. It just doesn't work. Like it's actually like hitting your head against a brick wall. It's completely pointless. And yet how much of life is tangled up in that way of being with ourselves? You know, whether it's doing better at school or doing better at work or doing better in your relationship or, again, whatever better means. How much of that do we think we need the self-judgment to move us forward? You've got to know how crap you are to get better, you see. That's the kind of theory behind it all. You know, once you know you're rubbish, once you judge yourself as not good enough, then you will be able to change. And as I say that, I can really connect that to what I call treat and mean, keep and keen parenting, which is that, you know, what I think my parents did well-meaningly, just keep telling your kids they're a bit rubbish and that'll make them step up and be better. And we're just perpetuating that innocently, of course, in our own heads.
Yeah. That was really beautiful. And what I observe like a beautiful example, because we're a self-correcting system. So, yeah, there is no trying. So saying, yeah, how could I do this better? Or, oh, I snapped at him. Is there something I need to say or whatever? You don't have to have the dialogue in your head, right? You actually don't need the dialogue because the system is always guiding you towards what feels better. And if you just keep out of it, you will know, it'll come out. Sorry about that. And the change, and even in what happened, so there was no, whatever happened with you, I see that as an inside out, a self-correction for the good of you. And I dare say that it's never just for us, because the more pure we are responding in moment to moment life, the kinder it is to us, of course, and also the kinder it is for others. And it might just be in the way of not engaging in something where then someone else is going to respond to our engagement in it. And you did a complete, like, not engaging at all, and it looked in the energy of you sharing it, it felt kind, it felt quiet, it felt peaceful, it felt self-caring. Although I'm sure you never even thought about it like that. It was just an odd, like, no. So to me, I really saw it was a beautiful representation of how lovely and how you can trust that system that we have guiding, that it will point you, it will move you if you just like take your hands off the wheel. So that was, yeah, lovely. And yeah, we've been, there's conditioning. That's something that we will have always, just being aware of it and knowing that I don't have to engage in it. You really don't. I think it was key what you said about being present in the moment, because that's where the power of our natural self-guiding system, that's where it shines.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's the only reality as well, because we even something that's happened, we've all been there, haven't we, where we've been in a bit of a tussle with somebody verbally and gone back and forth a bit, and you can't really, there's no point going over that, because neither of you can really remember who said what and why they said it and how. You've ever got to the end of an argument and just gone, how the heck did that even start? Like, how do you get here? How do you don't, because you get so stirred up, and both of you do, and then you get to a certain point where you might be being quite unkind to each other, and then you just go, how did we even get here? So trying to go over that, like, is ridiculous. I still think that but then, like we've said, to be in the present moment, to say sorry. And then sometimes when I'm in that place and I've kind of settled down, it still might make sense to say, do you think you could just maybe not do that, sweetheart? That, not say that, or not do that particular thing, or whatever. Could you put that there instead of there? Which generally is the ridiculous level on which these things start, isn't it? Yeah, we can still say what we like, what we don't like, what we prefer from that space. But I think it lands a lot better. We articulate ourselves better, don't we, when we're not caught up in self-judgment and guilt and feeling terrible. But we're just present with, I want to say sorry, because I realise I reacted to that badly. And still from that same place, I'd like to say, I reacted to that badly, but could you try not to do it, or do it differently, or whatever, next time, or talk about a strategy to make this work better, or whatever. And you can do the practical stuff as well. But none of it needs anybody to be judging themselves or anybody else, really.
Absolutely. And of course, it is actually, to me, asking for what you want is also a kindness not just to yourself, but to others. Let it be known. And sometimes I'm thinking about my daughter here in this moment. Sometimes, because I was just so engaged in mothering and being a mother, or what I thought was a mother, and she had to repeatedly ask me for what she wanted because I was overstepping. I was over, right? So it happens at times. So, invite the people in your life to ask for what they want. And ask to the Christmas it's so funny around here because we're all, what do you want? I'm very practical. We have a practical streak, I think, amongst all four of us. So it's just like, what do you want? Because I don't want to get you something that you really don't want. If there's something that I think is cute, it's not going to, but why don't you just tell me what you want? Here's the link. It's on sale right now, actually. It's just a kindness. To me, I know people, this might be a weird example because some people really love gift giving and thinking and, and I just like, there's a million things to get in the world. Why don't we just ask for what we want? Because we know it. We know what it is. And don't hold back.
And I wonder how much self-judgment stops us from doing that, in the sense of not wanting to, like how restrained we become. We don't ask for what we want or what we need, and we mutter about it. Like you said before, it's so right to just express to somebody else how you would prefer something to be done or what you want. And so many people just don't. They just mutter to themselves about it. I mean, a really comedy thing happened. I went to get on a bus one day, and one bus had gone past and left us all stood there at the bus stop, and the second bus came and it was packed, absolutely packed. And the bloke behind me in the queue was going, why doesn't everybody just move up the bus? So I just got on the bus and went, can we all please move up the bus because we can't get on? And there was a guy near the back who was, there's a massive gap behind him. He was just miles away on his phone. And as soon as I said it, he went, oh, okay. And off he went and moved. Everybody moved up the bus and we all got on. But the bloke next behind me was just muttering to himself. And he would have just muttered all the way to Leeds, assuming that everybody on there should have known better than to stand in the. We don't, we either don't say because we think everybody should know better, or we don't say because we're embarrassed to say. I'm not embarrassed to get on a bus or a train and shout, move down the vehicle, we all need to get on one occasion. But that is self-judgment as well, or the fear of, almost like the fear of somebody else's judgment. And then we don't say what we want or what we want to see in the world. Or I'm still learning that one. All the time.
It festers, right? It festers. Yeah. Definitely. So, ask for what you want. Stay in the moment, be present, allow that natural self-guiding system guide you to if there's any correction or change of direction or whatever to make. Yeah.
I mean, to finish with, the word that comes to mind is trust. It's about trusting yourself, is that you don't need to beat yourself up. Do what's right for you and others.
Yes. Beautiful. Thank you.
That was lovely. I shall see you next time.
Yes, you will.
Take care.
Bye for now.
Bye.